Today we're going to talk a little bit about integrating AutoCAD Electrical with the Autodesk Vault. Most of our Vault customers are using Autodesk Vault with Inventor. We're a little bit surprised that more electrical groups aren't using it. There's a lot of benefit to using the Vault with AutoCAD Electrical. So we're going to be showing a little bit of everything. We'll be discussing AutoCAD, AutoCAD LT, AutoCAD Electrical, and how everything interacts with the Vault. So I have AutoCAD Electrical on the screen right now. I believe everybody can see my screen. So most companies, when they start evaluating the Vault, one of the biggest concerns they have is, oh boy, this is going to be more work for our users. We're going to have this huge training expense. It's just going to be difficult to get into it. Well, I'm hopefully going to put that to rest because it's really not. I have AutoCAD Electrical. When you install the Vault to a client's machine, every Autodesk product is going to have a Vault ribbon. That includes AutoCAD LT, AutoCAD, AutoCAD Electrical, AutoCAD Architectural, AutoCAD Mechanical, Inventor, etc. Pretty much all the Autodesk products are going to have access to the Autodesk Vault. So I've got my normal electrical menu, but at the same time, I've got a Vault ribbon that I can go to. Most of my work, I don't even use the ribbon. I'll show you that a little bit later, but just getting into the Vault for the users. Take a look at that ribbon. You've got less than a dozen buttons there, okay? And I'm going to go and walk you through the buttons. I'll do the training right now so you don't have to send your users for training. There is a button there that is actually going to launch what we call the Vault Explorer. You're going to see that in a few minutes. I know some of you probably have seen the Vault. I'm going to go on the assumption that most of you have not. But this will launch the Vault Explorer. We'll see that in just a few minutes. There's a log in and log out button. Obviously, the idea behind the Vault is to have a safe container to put your files in. Most people don't consider Windows as a safe container because pretty much anybody can go in there and rename files, move files, control files, where the Vault is going to give you a little bit more file control. So in order to get into the Vault, you have to provide your credentials. Now, I'm just going to log out for a second. It says I have successfully logged out. I'm going to log right back in. I want you all to see the login screen. I can use a Vault assigned account. I can use my Autodesk ID, which is available with Vault Professional, or I can do my Windows account, which is available with Vault Professional. Anytime I touch anything that's going to be Vault Professional versus Vault Basic, I will let you know that. So a lot of people like using the Windows account because it already knows my domain, it knows who I am, it knows my password. The theory is if I've used Active Directory to log into my laptop, then the Vault already knows who I am. Today for the presentation, I'm going to go on the Vault Basic side. I'm just going to use a Vault account. And that Vault account is just my name and password. My server is a local server. The Vault I'm logging into is engineering. You do have access to multiple Vaults on your server, or you might. I actually have 3 I can log into. I'm going to stick with this one today. And tip number 1 for you guys that do use the Vault or you're actually looking at getting into the Vault, tell it to automatically log you in next time. You do this one time. That way, from today forward, every time I launch AutoCAD Electrical, the system is going to automatically log me into the Vault. So as long as you turn that on, it's basically hands-free. I don't have to log in. I don't have to worry about the small details. Okay, so I can log in, log out. There is an open from Vault. Okay, there is a slight advantage to that over Windows. Example. We still have our open from Windows. I go to open. Of course, you guys are all familiar with Windows Explorer. I can go down here. I can go to my C drive or D drive. I can go into a folder and start digging around for my files. So I've got access to my C, I've got access to my D, I've obviously got access to network drives. It's Windows. You guys are all comfortable and used to Windows. The problem I have with Windows is I have to dig for things. So let me cancel that. Now, if I do an open from Vault, I just click the open button and it's going to introduce a Vault interface. Yes, I've got a folder structure inside the Vault, a lot like any other program. I can go to designs, I can go to person A, I can go to my AutoCAD files, and I can start seeing files. But rather than browsing for everything, since it is in the Vault indexes all my data. And since it's indexed, I can search for any of that data. Example, there's a little search window here on the side. I can just search for the word demo, and bam, there's a training demo drawing right there. So all I have to do is do a quick search. I don't have to worry about what folder it's in or anything like that. I just grab it and open it. I'm not going to open it today, but I was just showing you. We have a nice little search engine built right into the open dialog box. If you're a person or persons that use AutoCAD, AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD Electrical even, or any AutoCAD variation where you might use X references. Most of us are familiar with the X reference dialog box. In here, I can just hit the little fly down menu. I can attach a drawing, image, DWF, DGN, PDF, et cetera, et cetera. There's also now an attach from Vault. That's basically what the attach button is up here. When I go to attach, again, I get the Vault interface. I can search for a file name and find it immediately. So I can do attachments, just like X reference attachments. This button is grayed out. It's a refresh from Vault. If you're working on your electrical project, and let's say you got multiple team members working on that electrical project, if they edit one of the other drawings in the project, save it and put it back in the Vault, it's going to show in my browser that that file is out of date on my system. All I have to do is go up and hit refresh, and it refreshes everything, and I'm now looking at the latest and greatest data, which is great for a multi-user, multi-person environment working on the same project. We have check-in and check-out. Check-in is how you put stuff into the Vault. Check-out is how you get stuff out of the Vault. The check-in process is basically going to give you editing rights to a file. There's an options button. There is state control in here. I can change state of objects. I'm going to touch on that just a little bit later. And of course, we have help. So there, you've seen all the buttons. You now know what they all do. Again, a new user to the Vault, it's not a terrible amount of stuff to learn. It's all right in front of you. And if you need help, yes, we've got help. Okay. Now, most electrical engineers, most of your controls engineers guys, when they start a new project, they usually take an existing project and copy it. I talk about this because the Vault itself has a tool in it called Copy Design. You can ask anybody using Inventor and Vault if they use the Copy Design. Almost every one of them is going to say, yes, absolutely we do. Electrical has a really good project copy. So we have a choice now. We could either do a Copy Design in the Vault, or we could do a Copy Design in AutoCAD Electrical. Well, my go-to, because I use AutoCAD Electrical a lot, I'm familiar with this one, I'm going to continue using it. But I do have a choice of either or. So let's say, for an example, I got a project. I want to copy a project. I'm actually going to copy my active project and give it a new name. Say this is a new job for customer whatever. I'm just going to call this my customer project. Again, it could be customer ABC, customer XYZ, etc. New project location. It's going to ask for a location on your local machine. I have an actual folder called C:/webcast. I'm going to hit browse here. This is Windows. I can go to my C drive. I can go to my webcast folder. There's my design project that we're looking at. I'm going to make a new folder for what I'm going to show you today. Again, this is all Windows. Make new folder. Of course, you got to give it a name. I'm just going to type in customer because that's what I want to call the folder. So now I'm going to create a new project going to that folder. Say okay. Now, of course, you guys using AutoCAD Electrical, you kind of already know this tool, but I just want the people using plain AutoCAD LT to see some of the tools that are in here. I can pick and choose which drawings to process. I'm going to do all of them. Not only am I copying the project, I'm going to get all the related drawings of that project. I'm also going to get all the related template files, label files, secondary project files, or anything here that lights up. It's going to see as part of that project. So it's going to copy all of it. This is the part I like about the electrical copy design as opposed to the Vault copy design. They have a nice little find and replace in here. So all these files are called design 1 through design 9. And just to find and replace, I can look for the word design and just replace it with the word customer. So now my files are going to be marked and identified the same as the project. I'll say okay. You can see it immediately changes all those drawing names. Everything gets relinked in the background. I say okay. It's going to do a little processing. And voila, I've got a brand new project. It's now in the browser. It even opens up the first drawing to confirm that it's done, and this is what it looks like. So there's my customer project. I've got all my schematic drawings, 7 of those. I've got my panel drawings, 2 of those. And currently, because this is a brand new project, it is not in the Vault. If I look at the little signatures here, they have little indicators that show up in AutoCAD Electrical. Anytime you see a circle with a plus on it, the plus is an indicator that you need to add a file to the Vault if you want it in the Vault. I've got a few projects here that are already in the Vault, like Module 1. This is already in the Vault. You can see it's open circles. The open circle basically means that anybody can check these files out right now and make changes to them. So anybody could be working on Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, et cetera, et cetera. I've got a few projects that are not in the Vault, and I've got a few projects that are in the Vault, and they're easily identifiable by their icon. Now, just because you make a project doesn't necessarily mean that it has to go into the Vault. That is basically your company discretion. I have a lot of projects that I do that are, don't tell Hagerman, but side projects. They don't go in the company Vault. They're in my Vault instead. So I don't have to put them into the Vault. All right, so that gives you an idea what it all looks like. Now, the next thing that people do when they get their new project started, every project has a certain amount of data that you want to collect and go with that project. Nowadays, drawings carry data. Back in the old days when I first started AutoCAD, it was a drawing. It had lines, arcs, and circles, and anything you wanted to convey to somebody had to be in the drawing as a physical object, like text or attributes or dimensions. Nowadays, files carry metadata. You can put all kinds of related data with a file. Example, if I right-click on customer, go to descriptions, we've got pages and pages of descriptions here that we can fill out, like customer name, Hagerman and Company. Customer city, I'm actually in St. Louis today. Project name. Conveyor, if I could spell. Conveyor circuit. Let's not use the word circuit. Let's use the word system. It's more of a system. Conveyor system, project number. Maybe your company has an assigned project number to this purchase order or this job. I'll use my default job number here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Contract date, so we just got the contract today, so 04-11-2024. Engineer, that would be me. Drawn by, that actually goes in the title block, so I'll put my initials in there. Checked by, I'm going to rely on you guys today. You are going to be my checkers. You're going to be watching everything I'm doing and making sure I'm doing it right. So you're my checkers today. Scale, I don't know that there is such a thing as scale for electrical drawings, but maybe the drawing has a scale. I'll put that in there anyway. And again, you can have pages and pages and pages of data that go with any electrical project. So I put in all my data and I say, okay. Now, people using AutoCAD Electrical probably already have seen and understand the tools I'm showing right now. We're going to very shortly get into the Vault and show you how the Vault interacts with all this. But I know we've got a lot of people on this webcast that are using AutoCAD LT, and they're thinking about AutoCAD Electrical, or they're using just plain vanilla AutoCAD, and they're thinking about AutoCAD Electrical. Honestly, people, if I was just doing mechanical drawings, I would buy AutoCAD Electrical just to use some of the tools that it has in it. Tool number 1, the project manager. It's showing me every file that is related to this job. I can do the same thing with mechanical drawings. They don't necessarily have to be schematics. I would buy electrical just to have the project manager. If I'm an AutoCAD LT user and I get into multi-drawing schematics, like this schematic's only 9 pages. Doing the work that I do as an SE with Hagerman Company, I do support. I've seen projects well over 200 drawings. I think I've seen a few over 500 drawings. But just the utilities they have, like here, title block update. I've got an empty title block down here. I grab that tool. Here's all the information I just put in. Hagerman and Company, St. Louis conveyor system, project number, date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I can select all those. I'm going to also update the drawing descriptions. I did change the file name, so I'm going to update the file names and file extensions. I'll just turn everything on just to make sure I've got all the bases covered. Just so you can see this happen. Normally I don't do this, but today I'm going to. I'm going to activate each drawing as it processes. Otherwise, it would do all this in the background. I want you to see it, so I'm going to activate it. It'll slow it down a little bit, but that's all right. So I'm going to update all the data project-wide. I'm going to do all the drawings. So all 9 drawings, it's going to fill out the title block for me. I'll say, okay, you'll see the first one here is immediate. There's the second drawing. You'll see it fill out. Then it jumps over to the third drawing. You'll see it fill out. Then it goes to the fourth drawing, fills it out. And then the fifth drawing, and then the sixth, etc. If you have a 200-page drawing set, imagine just one tool filling out all your title blocks for you. How much is that saving you? Just that one tool in this program would almost justify the cost. In my opinion, like I said, even if I had AutoCAD Mechanical, I would buy this just to have this tool that fills out all my title blocks and organizes all my drawings as a project. Anyway, so I realize for you electrical people that are on the call, you've seen these tools, you use them every day, you're like, yeah, that's everyday AutoCAD Electrical. Fine, so let's start talking about the Vault a little bit. We have an option. I could save all these files to Windows and they would sit there and be perfectly happy. Or I could just right click on the project, go to Vault and check it in. Now notice I tend to be a right clicker. I'm right clicking the menu and using that. I could actually go to the Vault ribbon and say check in there. But I just want to do a check in. By grabbing the project, it's going to ask me where to put it in the Vault. Let's see here. Let's go under Designs. Just for simplicity, I'm going to put it underneath my name. Now, I do like this compared to Windows. under my name, I'm going to make a new folder. It's going to suggest customer because that's the name of my project. I don't have to type it in. I love that. Sure, perfect. So there's the folder I'm going to put it in. I'm going to say, okay. Notice it's going to grab all 9 of the drawings. It's grabbing the project, and it's grabbing all those template and label files and the alternate project file. It's grabbing everything related to this project automatically, just like the copy design did. The Vault is going to grab everything. I can put in here, added. I can't talk and type at the same time. Losing my mind here. Added electrical project to Vault. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger. Now I will tell you, there is an option to turn off generating preview files. I have that turned on. I like having the preview files available the minute I get into the Vault. So this flashing you're seeing on the screen here is basically the system going through each drawing page by page and taking a DWF snapshot of it, which is perfect for the viewer inside the Vault. I'll make a point to show you that when I get inside the Vault. But again, this is something you would only see on the initial check-in. So it's not terribly time consuming. I guess it would be if you had 200 plus drawings. But honestly, it's well worth the effort. Again, you can bypass that part and not do it if you want. Right now it's vaulting the files, all the previews are done. And they should show up inside the Vault. All right, so let's close this for a second. If I look at my customer project in the Project Explorer, you'll notice they all have the open circles, which is an instant indicator to me that all these are now vaulted. Now, if I jump over to the Vault Explorer, some of you on the call are seeing the Vault for the first time. I know some of you are not. Again, assuming you're seeing it for the first time. On the left-hand side, you have your typical folder structure. This is pretty much patterned directly off of Windows Explorer. I've got my main root folder. Underneath that, I've got designs. Underneath that, I've got a Clayton folder. There's the customer folder, manager. Person A has a lot of stuff under it. Person B has a lot of stuff under it. Every Vault is set up to match company requirements. Some companies store, in my case, by people or personnel. Rather than people here, person A, B, and C, these might be project A, B, C, D. It might be customer A, B, C, D. Everybody has their own idea what their folder structure should look like. It's entirely up to you. You make your own folder structures. Mine is kind of divided by people. Now, with people structure, let me go to designs, Clayton. There's my customer folder. And there's all the files that I just brought into the Vault. You might notice they all show up as version 1. The comment listed here is added electrical project to Vault. Now, as you get in here, the folder structure's on the left. The main panel is the center. That's your center of attention. If you grab a drawing as an example, you will see that the bottom half of this lights up. There is a history tab. This particular drawing doesn't have any history yet. It's actually showing as version 1. There is a uses tab. Now, this is kind of interesting. The Vault understands how all files are linked together. Inventor files are all linked together. AutoCAD Electrical files are linked to their project. Mechanical files have linking. Anytime you have X references or linked files, these buttons down here start to become useful. This is all information that Windows won't give you. Example, if I grab this project file, with the project file, I expand down there and say this project uses the auxiliary project, the template, the label, and these 9 drawings. So just grabbing the project file, it's showing me everything that's attached to that project. Okay. If you're using AutoCAD with X references, I've got an example here. This first floor drawing uses these 4 other drawings. So the architectural, electrical, lighting, and plan drawings, all 4 of these are X referenced in to that first floor drawing. It also has an attachment here. They've got a calculation Word document that's attached to that first floor drawing. So anybody that touches that drawing can see that there's a calculation document that should go with that drawing, or vice versa. If I go find that calculation document, I think it's that one, and say, where is that used? You will see that, nope, it's this one. You will see that it is used. If I get the right one, there we go. You can see that that calculation document is actually attached to the first floor drawing. So even though they're completely different file types, it sees that they're linked or attached together. Okay, so if you grab a drawing and say, where is this used, or what does it use? That drawing uses all these attachments. If I grab something like the lighting drawing and say, where is that lighting drawing used, where used, you can see it is used on the first floor drawing. So it's a bidirectional pointing system to tell you what's attached to what. With Inventor, it makes awesome sense. Like, I can grab this hitch assembly drawing. Where is that used? It's not used anywhere. But what does it use? That drawing actually points to this assembly, which points to these parts, which happens to have a subassembly in it, which points to the parts underneath the subassembly. So just touching the drawing, I can see everything that's linked to it. Let's say the company is coming out with a change order, says we need to change the diameter of this hitch ball. Before I make that change, I click on where used, and I want to see every file that's going to be affected when I change the size of that ball. So it's very important to understand that one change on a part could be affecting a lot of other files downstream. But today's webinar is about electrical, so let's focus more on electrical. Okay, so I can see that this project uses all these supporting files. If I grab a supporting file and say, where's that used? It's going to show me the project. So again, bidirectional. There's a change order tab. Change order is Vault Professional. Just put that out there. Vault Professional has a change order system. Every company has some sort of system they use for doing change orders. Our company basically used to do this on paper, but nowadays you can do it electronically. If I issued an order to change this drawing, I could create a change order, describe what's in that change order, list the drawings that are affected, and sign off on it. So every time a change order is initiated against a drawing, it will show up here. Now, it may not sound like much at first, but imagine that drawing existing in the vault for 10 years. How many change orders have been issued against that drawing in the last 10 years? It's going to list every one of them, what the change order number is, what the date is, and who did it. So that information simply grows and becomes valuable. There's a View tab. I click on a drawing, little view window opens up, and again, I can zoom in here. I can see all the data that I put in a title block. It's all filled in. There's the engineer, the job number, checked by you guys, et cetera, et cetera. So I can zoom in and out. They've got a really nice high fidelity viewer here. I can go to any drawing, click on the view, give it a second or two to show up and zoom in, and I can see basically full fidelity. What I love about this from a manager's point of view, notice I'm not even using AutoCAD Electrical. I'm using the Vault. I can actually touch any drawing and see what's going on inside that drawing without launching an application. That's valuable to anybody in the company to be able to see data in a drawing without launching the product, okay? And that pretty much applies to anything. I can look inside Word documents, I can look inside Excel spreadsheets, PDF files. I think I've got a PDF file in here. If I grab a PDF, I can zoom in on that. There's a little article about using AutoCAD Plant 3D with Vault. So you can preview pretty much anything that's in here, okay? There is a CAD bomb. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And there's also data sheet. What I love about the data sheet, anytime you touch a drawing, whatever drawing it might be, on the right-hand side, we've got a properties window. All kinds of properties that come from Windows. There's system properties. You scroll all the way down. We've got user-defined properties down here. These properties are the ones that I typed in the electrical project. They're now part of the Vault. You can see it here, but a lot of times it's more critical data, so I don't like using my properties window. I've seen some people collapse that so they only show user-defined. But I like the data sheet because I get to put them in the order that I want them in. So this is the same order that you saw inside AutoCAD Electrical. So the data sheet becomes valuable because I can click on any drawing and see the data that's inside the drawing and or project. Okay, so we're going to go back and revisit AutoCAD Electrical for a second. So AutoCAD Electrical. A lot of people ask me, it's too hard to remember what I need to do to work out of the Vault. I tell people, do what you do on an everyday basis. I am going to show you how minimal the interaction with Vault really is. Okay, because a lot of people are concerned, oh, I got to remember to go to the Vault, check this out, work on it, check it back in. Don't worry about any of that. The Vault will take care of you rather than you taking care of the Vault. Example, I'm going to open up customer drawing 4. There it is. It's right in front of me. I can look at it. I can print it. I can do anything I want. I can zoom in and out. It doesn't matter what I do to it. Okay. The minute I try to change it, like I've been instructed to change the here. If I grab this safety relay number 1, edit component, that's an editing function. AutoCAD Electrical immediately pops up and says, hey, dude, customer 4 drawing is not checked out. Do you want to check it out? The answer today, obviously, I'm trying to change it. I would say yes. But the tip for you guys is to expand this and say, don't ever prompt that again. Just always assume the answer is yes. Why am I not doing that today? Because I wanted you to see this as part of my demo. So I'm not going to do that yet. But in your case, for you guys, I would say, yeah, just go ahead and check it out. When would you not want to do that, right? So I'm going to say, yes, let's check it out. So it checks it out, brings up my edit dialog box, and I change it. Call it conveyor safety relay number 1. You can see it change on the screen. There are contacts in this drawing that need to be updated. Yes, down on line 411, there's an open contact. Yes, update that too. Now this is typical AutoCAD Electrical workflow. There's a panel symbol that needs to be updated. That's on a different sheet. I think it's on sheet 9. Do I want to do it now? Sure. I'm going to say okay. And I'm going to point out, as soon as I say okay, it checked out drawing 9, makes the change, comes back to where I started, and saves it. It's actually asking me now, we just changed that drawing. Do you want to check it in now? This one, again, you could say, don't ever prompt that again. Right now, I'm just going to say, no, let's not check it in right now. And you'll see over here in the browser that I have ownership of it. The little checkbox means you own it, you're changing it. If it's green, that means what you've got on your screen is different than what's in the Vault right now. So they give you a nice color coding. Let's go ahead and change the second relay. Edit component. We'll put the word conveyor in front of this. We'll pull the trigger. Again, local contact needs to be updated. Yeah, go ahead and do it. 2 drawings to process. 1 schematic symbol update. I believe it's on page 6. Yeah, line 633. And a panel symbol, which is the same panel drawing, drawing 9. It's already checked out. So I'm just going to say, okay, let it do what it needs to do. Can I save this drawing? Sure. So now you'll notice it's basically going through each drawing, making the necessary changes, which is what AutoCAD Electrical does. It makes sure everything stays in sync. Do I want to check in customer 6 drawing? No, not yet. So now you'll notice, even though I'm doing my work just like I do any other day of the week, it's only checking out files as I need them. I'm going to go ahead and grab this third safety relay, edit component. We'll put the word conveyor in front of that, pull the trigger. Yes, update the local drawing. Yes, go ahead and update the panel. And by the way, you can tell it to always save here. I'm not hiding any dialog boxes from you, but you guys can on your systems. I can make electrical look like it's just doing its routines and Vault's not even involved. But obviously it is. I have to take ownership of those files in order to change them. So we've got all those changed. Zoom extents, we'll save it. Again, maybe that's all the changes we're going to do. Again, I can touch the project. I can check these in one at a time. Right click, check in. Assuming I'd want to put a different description on each and every drawing, I could check them in one at a time. But since all my changes were related, I'm going to go to the project and say Vault, check in all. Now, it's not checking in all 9 files because it didn't change all of them. It only changed 3 of those files. So it's listing those 3 files. I can put notes here. And by the way, this would be easy. Changed descriptions on relays. That's exactly what I did on all 3 of those. So this kind of fits every change I've made. Pull the trigger and you'll see all 3 of those. Again, it's creating new visualization files, so your preview screen is always going to be up to date. So anybody going into the Vault right now is going to see exactly what I changed. Okay, so quick look over on the Vault side. Do a quick refresh here. And you'll notice that customer drawing 4 now has 2 versions. 6 has 2 versions and 9 has 2 versions. So versions, if I look at history, version 1 was when I added it to the Vault. Version 2 is when I changed descriptions on the relays. So it's documenting who is touching a Vault and exactly when they're touching that Vault, this file. They're documenting everything. So whatever drawing you look at is documenting that I changed it. Okay? Now, a lot of times people kind of wonder about versions versus revisions. Okay, the Vault is going to automatically version every file that's touched. Eventually, your company wants to track revisions on files. You have, change order systems. This is officially Rev A. The way I do that with AutoCAD Electrical is actually pretty simple. You don't have to worry about all the files. If you've got a project with 300 files in it, not a problem. Don't worry about all of them. All you have to worry about is one file, the project. If I right click on this project and I say, let's make an item out of that. I'm going to itemize that project. This is a Vault Pro tool. I'm going to make an item out of that. It does a little preparation. It processes some data, retrieves some item. And this is what the item looks like. Now, An item in the vault is basically a prep for bill of materials. What I just did there is I generated an all-inclusive bill of material of this project. Now, what does that mean, all-inclusive? Well, on the general page here, you can see that I have my project. You can see all the supporting files for that project, the 4 extended catalog, template, label, project, and the 9 drawings. These are all the associated files to that project. You can see I've collected all my properties out of that project. So now I've got a property page here to look at. Again, it's data. I have history. As I change this item, you will see the history start to build. And most importantly, I have a bill of materials that is complete. Now, there's 2 ways to look at this bill of materials. There's a mechanical bill of materials, which is basically what I call a flat list. Notice I've got the quantity, the manufacturer, and the catalog number of everything that's in that electrical project. Now, most people using AutoCAD Electrical say, well, yeah, I've got a report that'll run that. Okay, so you launch AutoCAD Electrical, you open the project, you go to reports, you run a report on all the drawings. When the report gets done, you sort it and organize it the way you want it, and then you either print it or you put it on a drawing or you save it as an Excel spreadsheet. It's right here in the Vault. Anybody that has access to Vault can look at this at any time. Okay, I'm going to hit save here and save that. Okay, now mechanical bill of materials is a flat list. I forgot to show you the other one. The electrical bill of materials actually sorts it by your installation and location codes. I've got operator station 3, so I've got every component that's on that operator station. If I scroll on down, I've got machine cabinet 5. I've got every item that's in machine cabinet 5. If I scroll on down, I've got location machine. I've got every item that's at that machine location. The junction box, the floor. It's itemized as you would see it in AutoCAD Electrical, or you can flat list it, your choice. It's all here, it's all there. Okay, so I close this. Now, I now have an item here for that project. It's officially tagged as Rev A. It's work in progress. Now, if your company sets up a review system, I can right click on this and change the state. And I could basically send it to review. You could have it set up to where review is the only option for the engineer. I'm a little bit more elevated in privileges here. I can send it to review, or I can send it directly to released. Release is what we call a lockdown state. If everything has been finalized, everything has been reviewed, I can mark this as a release project, and it's going to basically lock down the items, the bill of materials, and over on the drawing side, it's going to lock down all the drawings. A lot of people question drawing lockdown, but think about this. If somebody opened a drawing and added a bunch of push buttons and lights to it, is your bill of material accurate? No, you're changing drawings outside of your official bill of materials. So in order to keep everything on the same page, we release it into a lockdown state. Again, the Vault is a lot about drawing protection. So what happens if the customer comes back and says, oh, that job you're working on us, we decided we do want to purchase option A and B. We want those 2 options added to our project. Okay, not a problem. I can go to the item master. Again, I could also issue a change order. I'm bypassing that for this webinar because we didn't have enough time. But I can go to the item master and say, okay, fine. Right click, change the state, just 1 click. I want to put it back in a work state. Working state means I can open up the files, make edits, and do changes. Putting it back into the work state is going to automatically rev this to Rev B. Now, the project itself, all the content of that project is now Rev B. Over on the design side, you'll notice all my files are now unlocked. So basically my engineers can get to work, start working. So let's make a quick change here. So they wanted to add option B. So I'm the electrical guy. I just come in here to schematic. We'll go to copy circuit. I'm going to copy this circuit, including that. I need to go from this point up to here. Oh, look at that. Completely forgot about the vault. I'm just a electrical controls engineer. Oh, it's telling me it's not checked out. Do I want to check it out? Oh yeah, duh, I'm trying to change it. I love the fact that it just kind of gets in your face gently and reminds you, hey, you're changing a drawing. You never took ownership of that drawing. So there, all the symbols have updated. I'm going to update some wire numbers. We'll just do this drawing, get some wire numbers in here. So adding those two options, maybe there's something that needs to be removed because of those two options. So I'm just going to grab this circuit over here and get rid of it. I'm doing it the illegal way here. That's all right. I know what I'm doing. So I've made some changes. They've all occurred with this one drawing. With that one drawing, I can right click, just simply check it back in because it's the only thing that changed. We'll check it in and I will just say added options A and B, removed auxiliary circuit. So I say okay, checking in the file again, it's making a new visualization file and it's gone, it's done. So now let's go back to the vault and take a quick look again. Do a quick review. You'll see that that drawing now has 3 versions on it because I've touched it 3 times. Okay, added options A and B, removed auxiliary circuit. It's documenting, again, everything. There's where I added it. There's where I changed the descriptions. There's where I added the auxiliary circuits. Now, if I go back over to my item, I can update that item. That basically goes back to the drawings and recollects everything for the bill of materials. Same drawing list. Again, if I look at bill of materials, this is now updated. Okay, now I'm going to show you the best tool of all about using Vault. This one tool should convince you that your electrical controls people should be using the Vault. Okay, I'm going to save this real quick. Close it down. This is Rev B, it's work in progress. Let's say I go through the approval process, I right click, I say change this state to where it is full released. So I'm putting it back down in lockdown state. You can see the padlocks all show up. The drawings are all padlocked, everything's safe and secure. Now I'm gonna go back into this item. This last tool is definitely worth seeing. Items are a Vault Pro thing. So Vault Basic is not going to have this item thing I'm showing you. But think about bill of materials. Bill of materials, I can show you version A, work in progress. I can show you revision A, work in progress. I can show you the official released version A after all those description changes and stuff are made. Or I can come on up the list and say, I can show you the released version B. Now, what's nice about this, because I have all the history, I'm looking at released B right now. I can come up here and say, I want to compare that with the released version A. Compare. It will actually show me every difference between released A versus released B. This, whatever that is, I think it's a push button. Alan Bradley, that 6 used to be 8. So that was on the left-hand side where I deleted that circuit off. This one is currently 3. It used to be 4. Anything blue is a change. Like this 9 used to be a 5. This 4 used to be a 2. This 21 didn't exist before. It's a brand new item. And anything that has been removed, we'll show it with a red strike through. Now, if you think about your day-to-day work, you do release A of a project. You run all your electrical reports, you give the bill of material to your purchasing guy. He orders everything. Customer comes back and says, oh, we decided we want these options. So you completely revamp the drawings, just like I did. You run a new report out of AutoCAD Electrical, sure, you get another spreadsheet that shows the current status. You give that to purchasing. How does purchasing know what's new and what's not? What's been deleted? What's been added? All he can do is compare the old spreadsheet to the new one, line by line, and figure out what the differences are. Right here, I've got it right in front of me. I want to compare the released version B with the released version A and show me the differences. And right there they are. And again, I can do this as a mechanical bill of materials or an electrical bill of materials where it's itemized by locations. So again, this one page right here is why I would want to be using the Vault with my AutoCAD Electrical projects. Looks like we're running short on time here. Last thing I wanted to show you, again, everything's locked down. Obviously, drawing 4, 1, 2, 3, we have 3 versions of that. If I click on any one of these, go to the view ribbon, I can look at what it looked like on day 1. You can see the big open area here. You can see that circuit still exists. I can immediately go to version 2. You can see version 2 is pretty much the same, but the descriptions are different in version 2. And I can jump over to version 3 and see all the new circuitry. So you can see this is different and that's different. Now, one last tool, couple things here. If this viewer, a lot of people say, can this viewer can be bigger or smaller? I'm not reading the questions. I think Keith has been answering most of those. But rather than using this smaller viewer, I can hit this view button and I can have a full page viewer to look over anything that's in the vault. And by the way, this could be anybody in the company, even if they do not have AutoCAD Electrical, they have full access to what they need to see. Now, this needs to go to the customer for their approval. How do we do that? All right. I just need to send them one drawing. I can actually send them the whole project, but since I only changed one drawing, you can right click on a drawing and say, share the view on that. Shared views is something that's fairly new in the Vault. I can give it a name. Please review and approve. I can share it. Does a little processing. What it's doing is it's taking the visual file of that drawing and putting it up in the cloud, on the Autodesk cloud, so anybody across the world can have access to it. It doesn't mean it's open to the public. Don't panic about that. I can copy the link, takes it to the clipboard. I can launch email and send it to somebody. I can actually view it, let you guys see what it looks like on the other end. This is what the person on the other end is going to see. There it's loading up. Took a little while to generate. But your customer over in India can now hit this web link, and now they have full access to see the options you put in that drawing. Now, if you guys are wondering what that looks like, let me paste that link in here. If you put this link in a web browser, you can see what I just put up in the cloud. Now, who can get to it? Basically anybody that has this coded link. But for today, for this webinar, feel free, launch a browser and go look at that drawing, or wait till the webinar is over and then do it. But that's the end of what I was going to show you. There's a lot of tools that come with the Vault that can make sharing data and populating data useful information. hopefully that kind of gives you an idea what the Vault can be doing with your controls group. We do have a couple polling questions I'm going to throw out in front of you guys. I think there's only 2. I'm going to send out the first one. If you guys would take a few minutes to answer that question in the poll.
Hey, Clayton.
Yes.
If you've got a moment, can you go back to the BOM comparison tool?
Sure.
I don't know the exact answer of this offhand, so I was hoping you could maybe quickly show it. Is there a way to show only the changes as opposed to removed, updated, and same?
Okay, we're going to look at version B versus version A.
And for the record, I think we're still seeing the quick poll.
The poll?
Yeah, I'm not seeing your Vault UI.
I don't know if there's a way to do it automatically, but I can definitely turn off rows that are not affected.
Gotcha.
Technically, every row is affected because the revision B showing up. So, but they do have light bulbs on the end where I can turn off irrelevant rows. But the better question to ask yourself, without the Vault, how are you comparing what you did old versus new?
Oh, sure.
I don't know of any easy way in AutoCAD Electrical even get close to this. All right, so
a couple questions that came up a couple of times that I just want to at least briefly talk about. This whole process that Clayton's been going through is all on the quote unquote back end of the process, as far as creating documents, making objects, referencing those objects within the drawings, and so on. One of the big questions that's come up is, how does the Vault, or does the Vault, manage the libraries and catalogs that electrical uses?
At this point, AutoCAD Electrical has not been programmed or is not smart enough to look in the Vault for the catalog. However, there is a way to store your catalogs in the Vault for control, and just point electrical to look in the user's local workspaces. Or some companies just throw them out on a network share. But I like the idea of vaulting them so you can keep track of who's changing it and when they're changing it.
Yeah, with the catalog database, that does become a little bit difficult, because then it tries to lock the files, because the Vault wants to lock them, and that causes some permission problems.
Right.
The other way, and the way that I've kind of done it in the past, is set up the network share, put everyone, aim the WD-ENV file at it, but then also take a zip file of the catalog and a zip file of the libraries and push those into the Vault for safekeeping, and update that file as necessary, at a quote unquote oil change frequency, every 3 months.
I just opened up the second poll if you guys want to start answering that. Looks like the majority of the users out there are using Vault Pro, which is really good, because you're going to have these features we're showing. Awesome. Just looking at the poll that's going on, 14% are saying they're using Vault Basic, 64% using Vault Pro, which is wonderful because you're going to have everything I just showed you today. 22% not using the Vault, but they're thinking about it. Okay, nice. We'll give a Another 30 seconds on that poll. And I know Keith has been trying to answer questions. I will try to scan through them real quick. Looks like he's got most of them answered. All right, well, we thank you for attending today. Hopefully the information was valuable to you guys. I'm going to try to keep this WebEx recording down to about an hour. So we appreciate you attending. Hopefully we gave you good information. If you have any questions, obviously, I think you all know how to reach our sales team. And everybody attending today should get a link to the